Hi everyone. Whoops. See, I don't have my usual hat on, so you get full frontal this time. I want to talk about a subject that I have brought up many times, I think. And hopefully this is a new slant on that question of who am I, where am I, and what am I? I mean, we all live our lives in this, seemingly in this body, walking around, interacting with people, reacting and responding. But who is it that's doing all this? Who's making all the decisions we make? And where does that being live? I mean, the whole idea that somehow we're inside our body is kind of interesting and a little bit controversial to me anyway. The trouble is, of course, that science has cut the body open to look for this person and, of course, doesn't find it anywhere. So it finds chemistry, and then it assumes that, oh, we must be the chemistry. And our emotions are nothing more than neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine. There's no evidence for that. It's not as if we can use these drugs and injections of neurotransmitters to make us necessarily happy and joyful and be better people. It doesn't work like that. If it did, the drug companies would find the answer. But it's not like that. There's no evidence that we are these chemicals running around the body. You can take serotonin and dopamine and inject them in. It doesn't change everything. It doesn't make you a better person. It might calm you down and make it easier for you to cope with the world, but it doesn't make you necessarily a different kind of person. So the whole question of am I this body? Am I this chemistry? Well, as I keep bringing up, we're not just matter and we're not just this chemistry. We also have energy and we have information. So the being, the person that we are, is a matter, energy, information being. And so why are we pointing to the fact that we are our chemistry? What about the energy information? Energy information moves much faster than chemistry. And there's a lot of evidence that we are not inside the body, that the body is inside us, rather. I mean, the electromagnetic recording of the heart, as I've mentioned many times, can be picked up 1 meter outside the body. So our energy field, even from a scientific perspective, is not confined to this physical body. We extend outside the physical body. Our electromagnetic fields go outside the body, and those are only the ones we can measure. And we don't really know how far they extend. I mean, at the moment, a sensitive instrument can measure that field 1 meter outside the body. But as we develop more and more sensitive instruments, we may discover that it's even further than that. I've written a paper on the power of prayer, and we know science has measured and that there is an effect of people praying for someone at the other end of the world and having an effect. They did this in a hospital where every second person that was admitted was prayed for. And they found that the people that were prayed for did much better than the people that were not prayed for. So if we can pray and have an effect on someone at the other end of the world, then where do we begin and where do we end? So we have to be careful in this understanding of ourselves and handing, as it were, the power of our experience to science, because science can't measure the human being. Science can measure the body, can measure the chemistry, and some small parts of the energy fields. But, there are all kinds of subtle energy fields, like feeling itself. We can't measure feeling, and we can't measure knowing. We can't measure intuition, and even thought. We can't actually measure. Yeah, I know that doctors will point to things like electromagnetic, the EEG, the all kinds of scans you can make on the brain. But what we're seeing over there is the result of thinking. It's not thinking itself. When my hand goes up, you can measure the hand going up, and you can make a movie of the hand going up. But the thoughts that initiate it and the whole process in the way the mind works to initiate movement, we don't understand. So to talk about the person as if the person is anatomy and physiology is really not okay. We are much, much more than that. So there is a hidden depth here that we need to get to. And this whole question of the difference between the objective world and the subjective world is also important then. Because science is talking about what you can measure, which is the objective world. But our experience is different. Our experience of life touches into much more subtle aspects of who we are. So, and that's called subjective. And I've often spoken about which one's more real, the subjective or the objective. Well, the fact is your whole experience of the world is subjective. So that must be more real to you in a way than the objective world. I mean, I can look outside and see the trees out there, and you can say, well, that's objective. But actually, the tree that I'm seeing is actually happening inside my head, passing through my eyes and into my head. So it's subjective. And if I want to actually experience the tree and go up to the tree, touch the tree, smell the tree, feel the tree, that's all subjective. So to say that only the objective tree is real and not my experience of the tree, that's kind of really disempowering to me as a person. That's like saying only science can know the tree. Only science can know my partner, because it can weigh my partner, measure my partner, cut my partner up, but that's got nothing to do with my partner. So we need to understand that when we're starting to talk about the I am, well, that's a little bit more difficult now for science to capture. The trouble is that the I am is often also gets mixed up into thinking, and thinking starts to conceptualize ideas of who I am. And even the thinking mind is limited. So science is limited in understanding who I am. And even my own thinking apparatus can only think and create images of who I am. But even that's not who I am. There's something much deeper that I know that I am. It's deep in my heart that I sense this beingness that I am. And that's got nothing to do with what science is talking about. And it's also doesn't have much to do with what my thinking mind thinks. Thinking is thinking. And as I said, it can use imagination, it can use thinking to conceptualize a philosophy and points of view, but that's not who I am. I am a great mystery, because it's so deep inside me, this I am, that I can't, the moment I start to use words and think about it, I'm into thinking. And the person that I am is even deeper than that. So there's a deep knowingness that I am what I am and who I am. And that deep knowingness is beyond the capacity of even science to measure. So, but we need to know that, and we need to start to trust this whole question of our own deep knowingness and deep feeling and the experience that we have. I think we've been disempowered. And the experience of I am, the experience of knowing who I am, is something that we need to recognize. And it's not inside my body, even though I have actually put my hand over my heart. But that place is not where, it's not as if this is where I am. It's a subjective space. And through this window, I reach into the depth of who I am. And that takes me into a space that has no boundary and no borders. And we call that the soul. So try and understand the difference between this I am as a soul and this I am as an ego thinking being that thinks it can know things. It can know very little, actually. And we need to be careful of the thinking mind and get in touch with the knowing part of you and the soul part of you. Have a good day.